All right. Welcome back to Reality Lives with the Ives. I'm Katie.
I'm Will, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, he's got the luck of the Irish.
Look at the Irish.
Yeah, not sure that this is coming out on Paddy's Day. In fact, I'm fairly confident it will come out after, but we love the holiday spirit nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. By the time you watch this, either it is St. Paddy's or it's recently passed. So either way,
It's absolutely not coming out on Sunday.
I'm just saying, either way, between now of recording and you guys seeing us, the holiday will have come and gone.
Sure. Great. Well, that's all great and dandy, but that is absolutely not why we're here. We are here because us and probably the rest of the world watched the Love is Blind season 6 reunion last night. It finally happened. It's been a long road. We made it, kids. It was a pretty solid reunion. What are your initial thoughts?
I will say, I enjoyed it. I don't want to say it was the best reunion I've seen for
I can't really
LIB. But you know what? It was solid. It was up there. I want to give it like a B on the grading scale, probably. Maybe B plus. I don't know.
I was gonna say like B minus, but I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was maybe watered down a little bit by just the
Yeah.
unnecessary additional couples.
They spent a lot of time on past, couples and Love is Blind success stories and stuff like that, which I've seen all the seasons, obviously, so we love these people, and it's great to see so many successful matches still going strong, but felt a bit unnecessary when there was so much juice from this season to talk about. Kind of
Yeah.
weird.
I wonder if it's because there's only one couple that actually got married, and so they felt the need to bring in like,
yeah, that's a good point.
hey, remember, this show does foster love. Look at all these amazing couples that are just happen to be in the front of the audience.
That's so true. It's giving Bachelor when they bring back past goats and couples that have worked out and stuff like that to give advice, because they're like, I want to remind you guys that this does actually work sometimes. That's a good point.
Thanks. I mean, it was the lowest percentage of weddings of any season of any of the shows ever.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some seasons like the Chicago one where like no one lasted, but people got married though, but then ended up getting divorced.
At least two.
You know?
I think the smallest we've seen so far was two.
I
And
think
this year
so,
we got
yeah.
one. So,
Yeah, so I mean, let's dive right in. There's not really a rhyme or reason for this roadmap we're about to partake on, and I guess it's fitting because there was really no rhyme or reason for the order of things in the actual reunion that we watched last night. Jumped around quite a bit. I feel like they spent time, like we said, on a lot of the OG success stories, and then they spent time on a lot of like nailing Trevor, Sarah Ann, all that stuff. And they gave us very little time on the things that I think a lot of us were most excited about, like the Kenneth and Brittany of it all. They were just gone in a flash, and we didn't really see too much resolution with that. Like, it's just essentially like, oh, we're all good and dandy, we're friends now, everything's fine. And it's kind of like, from what we saw, Kenneth did her kind of dirty. He didn't really get reprimanded or any, penance for his crimes.
no, I think he got it way too easy. And just because they're friends now,
He's a
which is
lovable guy, I
fine
guess.
because
Yeah.
she's queen.
Well, she's just like, sorry to interrupt. She's just like such a kind, sweet human, and she's so understanding that she wasn't going to like hold this grudge and hate on him. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, and so I agree though, but you're right. I mean, the episode started off where I think most of us figured it would probably start off with the OG
I was like, dude,
scumbag
yeah.
of the season.
Yeah.
Some might say the Secret Santa scumbag because he didn't
Secret
seem that way in the
Santa.
first half of the season, but by the end, you could tell.
I mean, it was
Jeramy.
I mean, I think he was okay the first couple episodes, and his downfall came pretty quick, actually.
Hmm.
Jeremy, whoever he is. Honestly, literally no one knows because he's such a fucking liar. Yeah, so we'll just jump right in with them, I guess. Makes sense. There's not really much more to say about Brittany and Kenneth. They're friends, they talk all the time. Doesn't seem romantic in any way. Good for them.
I will say
mean,
though, Kenneth, it still annoyed me. He didn't own up to being on his phone at all. He
he's
just
like, I'm a
kept paying the,
principal.
I'm a principal. These families need me. They're so used to having me. And I kind of want to be like, have you heard of boundaries?
A vice principal, perhaps?
Well, no, even just like, are you that close with these families and
No,
these
he made it
teachers?
seem like it was the faculty more than like families.
No, he brought up families too.
Okay.
All I gotta say is, Kenneth, have some boundaries and
Yeah, healthy
get off your
work-life
phone.
balance, bro.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Your work is literally ruining your potential marriage.
I find it extremely hard to believe that every time we saw him on his phone, it was for work. I'm just going to say it. Sus. But
Sus.
again, Brittany is a queen. I think generally speaking, Kenneth is not a bad, horrible guy, and they just ultimately weren't right for each other, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's nice, I guess, to see that, you know, despite the romance not being there, they can still be there for each other and have a really solid friendship because it's like better than nothing. You know, they went through something pretty crazy together that many other people wouldn't relate to. So it's cool that they're still homies and have each other's back. But closing the book on them, we wish you well. But yeah, let's go to the first really big, juicy moments of the reunion. We see Jeramy in a, quite frankly, horrendous, hideous outfit. He's trying to do something like taking back the Hawaiian shirt and like making it cool. No, it looked horrible. I think there's a way to wear like a floral shirt vibe with a suit. That was not the way, bro. The
He looked
white,
like
it was tacky.
An advertisement for like fruit punch,
Like
Hawaiian
a
fruit punch.
Halloween suit. You
Yeah.
know? Like a costume for like an Ace Ventura-y kind of thing.
Like, dude, you're going on TV for the entire world to see. Maybe look like you know, are successful.
Yeah. I think, again, I get what he thought he was doing, but didn't land for me.
Failed.
Not gonna, you know, rag on Sarah Ann too much, but I am seeing a lot of hate on the internet with her promish like updo. I was getting Libby Lou. I was seeing a lot of people comparing her hair to Jenna Rink from 13 Going on 30 in the infamous striped dress, you know, butterfly vibe scene. And let's not do Jenna Rink like that. But again, I don't think her dress was like fucking hideous. The girl likes pink. She was trying to match her man. Barf. And it was fine. You know, it wasn't her outfit that I hated. It was parts of her attitude that were really ugly to me.
Yeah, and I will say, like, she's not great, but
She's
she's
human.
definitely the better
Yeah.
half of the group because
That's saying something.
Jeremy still wouldn't own up to any of his shit.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can tell he's still lying through his teeth about a ton of stuff. They're both probably lying. It's just wildly unlikely they didn't at least kiss that night. Wildly unlikely.
You know, I've had time to like sit with my feelings since last night because when we were watching it and right after we watched it, I was like, fuck them. They suck. They're just not nice people. But after, you know, sitting on it for a bit, let's normalize like taking time and changing our minds a little bit. Do I like them? No. But I don't think Sarah Ann is some monster. I mean, we see like Zach and Bliss. If we didn't hate Irina so much, we liked the fact that he went for Bliss because Irina was such an unlikable character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we all like Laura and think she's like a good person that we're hating on Sarah Ann. Sarah Ann was pretty close to also getting engaged to this man. She's
I don't love
allowed to
Laura.
have, well, she's allowed to have feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most of the audience favored Laura over Sarah Ann and Jeramy and those
Yeah.
kind of situations. But I think Sarah Ann was invested and had emotions too, so she's not wrong for like wanting to be with this dude if it didn't work out. It's the secrecy and the like going behind her back while they were very much engaged that rubs us the wrong way. And what really rubbed me the wrong way is how she immediately like attacked Laura and yelled at her when Lauren came up on the Zoom and stuff like that, which that was annoying that she wasn't there, but good on her for prioritizing her real life and not, missing a work fun sounding trip for these clowns, good on her.
Agreed. And I think you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, drama is the problem. Men typically are, unfortunately.
He's the problem, it's him.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because they've come on the show and it's all like, oh, they're still together. This love
We're
story,
supposed to
it was
be, like,
meant to be.
happy. Yeah, no
and
one
then you
cares.
find out 10 minutes later, they've broken up multiple times and
Chelsea
gotten
put him
back
on
together.
blast.
It was amazing.
Gotta love that.
It just goes to show that he probably is a bit of a monster and tough to deal with.
I mean, we don't know why she might be horrible too. Like they're just maybe not right for each other. They're both immature at growing to do. We don't know that the reasons they're breaking up is all his fault. I'm gonna give him that. But it was funny for them to be like, we love each other so much. We actually live together. And then Chelsea's like, you've broken up several times in the last year. And they kind of tried to make it seem like, oh, we've been together a year. Like, that's a really, impressive feat. Breaking up multiple times in a year, that's red flag
Is this high
city.
school?
What are you doing? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, what we're supposed to be wanting out of this show and experiment is love, and they claim to have found it. So what can we do? If Laura and everybody is choosing to forgive them, like, no sweat off our back, we'll forgive, but never forget them too.
Yeah, and you're right.
It is what it is.
Sarah's definitely part of the problem because if she's not friends with any of the girls,
That shows you something.
like none,
but they're
like,
all like the engaged
there are
OGs.
serial
so I get it.
killers out there that have friends, so if none of the girls like her, it does,
Yikes.
it's a red flag. So
Wow. Yeah, you're being pretty harsh on her.
I was being pretty nice a second ago, but I just started digesting on it.
You said serial killers are more likable than her.
No, I just said they have friends. I mean, Jeramy is a serial killer, so there's maybe a correlation there.
He's not. I mean, we don't know.
What
Hey,
you
that
don't know.
ex-fiance?
Can
Haven't
hurt
heard
you.
from her since. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So ultimately, that kind of closes, ties the loose ends, I should say, on them three. Laura does disclose that she's like possibly dating someone, assuming it's someone,
Good for her.
just like a random average Joe, and good for her. Yeah. We
I'm
wish you the
happy
best.
for her. She seems successful. She's a strong woman.
Do we think that Jeramy and Sarah Ann are going to last? And the count of three, let's say like the percentage we think that they're going to last. Obviously high percent being like they're going to last.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
15. Wow.
Wow.
We did
Haters
not
will
plan
say
that.
it was editing. No.
We did not plan that.
Wow. I'm so proud of us. I almost said like 20.
Wow.
And then I was like, can't even give them that. Wow. We're so simpatica.
Look at that. We are just
Love is blind couples could never.
two peas in a pod, I mean, there's 100 options, and we picked the same numbers. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Claps for us. Yay. Okay. Let's move on to the Chelsea, Jimmy, Jess of it all. Jess didn't get a ton of time or shine. I mean, she popped in here or there, and I think she actually conducted herself really well. I'm a bigger fan of her than you have seemed to be so far, but
I'm more of a fan now
yeah, she
than I
handled
was
herself
before.
with beauty and grace. Some would say she's like Miss United States. She had the red dress on. She was killing it. Happy
Fair.
to hear that she will be on the next season of Perfect Match. We really enjoyed the first season. It's already been filmed, and low-key, I've seen pictures of her with another reality star in the ocean that everyone knows about, but you probably have no idea. So I won't spoil it for you, I guess.
What I will say,
But
they keep spoiling stuff because the other girl that's in the audience,
Micah and
Micah.
Izzy are also in it.
and Micah makes a comment about how she knows that she's going to find love. And
Yeah,
like,
meaning
oh, so
Jess clearly
clearly
didn't end up
Jess
with
didn't
anybody.
find
Yeah.
anybody in the show. So it's like, wow,
That was
just
annoying.
spoil that whole show for us already. Thanks, Micah.
Yeah, as Izzy and Micah were sitting there, random tangent, I kind of thought they would make a good match. But I don't think he's her type.
Yeah, I'm not a big Micah fan.
Who is? Just kidding. I think that she might redeem herself a little on Perfect Match in like a more fun, less high pressure, you're stuck with one person you're trying to make it work with situation.
Maybe.
This
True.
could save her a little bit. I don't think she's horrible. She wasn't as bad as Irina.
No, no.
Now, if
And hey,
Irina goes on Perfect Match,
oh
I'd
God.
be interested. I'm
And
here for it.
speaking of Izzy, congrats, bud. You're out of debt.
So
So
you claim.
that's a nice feeling. Yeah.
The social media, ads and shit have done you good.
His bank statements are like, liar, liar.
Yeah. Some bank teller or somebody out there is like, God, I'm about to sell this in TMZ for like $50. Whew.
50.
Yeah, so I mean, I will say they didn't touch like a ton on Chelsea's behavior. I do applaud her for just immediately handling, the Megan Fox of it all really well. She's like, listen, I regret it. It's embarrassing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've been getting an unbelievable amount of hate online, which we all have seen, and it's mean. And she's like, but honestly, I give myself props. I think I've handled it overall really well because it was hard and a lot of people would really crack with all this attention and negativity. So I got to give her props for that. I think that I follow her on Instagram and she does kind of poke fun at herself and not take it too seriously, at least from what we see. And I can give her props for that. But yeah, I mean, they kind of addressed the fallout between them, her and Jimmy, I should say, and, the friend of it all and the things that Chelsea disclosed that ultimately led to him losing trust and whatnot. And I mean, there's not really that much there. People have seen them online since the reunion filmed in Florida and different places together. And I kept calling it when I was talking to friends and whatnot, saying they're obviously just friends. And everyone's like, oh, they're together. They didn't say they were together at the reunion, but she was in an interview afterwards, which you obviously haven't seen with like extra TV or something. And she said they tried to date, lasted like 4 days, and just it wasn't working out. And they're like really good friends now. I bet they're friends who be fucking.
Ooh.
Low key. When they get a little too drunk. And hey, fine by us. We're all adults.
I mean,
here.
Jimmy seems to have those. So.
Ooh. He tells no
but,
lies.
I mean, it was tough because there wasn't a lot of juice to be had because Chelsea's very just like upfront.
Yeah.
She's like, this is what I did wrong. This is what I'm sorry for. Me and the girl that everyone thought we had beef. Now we're best friends. It's like there was really, and it's funny because Jimmy kept making these little quips throughout about how he's like, oh man, I'm dealing with too much to get into that. I'm dealing with too much to insert myself into that comment. And then by the end of it, you're like, are you dealing with anything, bud? Like, there was very little attack on Jimmy during the
end
episode.
of the season. I think he redeemed himself. I believe that he actually had some feelings for Chelsea and was semi-genuine. It was a lot to deal with on his end. I don't think he's like some horrible guy.
No.
We do have to point out, I think it was back in the beginning with the Sarah Ann, Jeramy, Laura stuff. Laura did say that Jeramy said something to her like, oh, or either she said it or he said it to her, something about like, oh, well, I don't want to look as bad as Jimmy or something. And they panned to Jimmy and Jimmy's just like, come on, like, leave me the fuck out of this.
Jimmy is not a Jeramy fan.
I don't think anyone on the cast is a Jeramy fan. Mine is Sarah Ann.
No.
Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, enough about Jeramy. But it was solid, right? Like you can tell they're still in a good spot. I mean,
yeah, they were pretty close on the couch.
I feel for Chelsea. It's tough when the world just comes at you because you can tell during the show she already has, self-love issues, and then when the whole world's like, you should go die.
Yeah,
it doesn't really help your feelings of self-worth. So I feel for her.
I mean, several of the girls in the reunion and just on social media interviews, I listened actually to Vile Files episode with Jess like last week or the week before, maybe last week. And she said like, we were all surprised to watch the footage back because in real life, Chelsea is a really confident person. She's like the girl that other people look up to because she doesn't give a fuck what people think. She's like super fun, goofy, like really confident. So it was hard to see her. And I think she touched on that last night at the reunion too. It was different to see her be like that. I think that Nick and Vanessa, who, side note, did a pretty good job last night. I think they asked the rest of the girls, if not the whole cast, like, wow, after you guys watched it back, what did you think about Jimmy and Chelsea's relationship because you guys didn't get to see, the meat of where their issues were and how many fights and shit they had. And a lot of them were like, I think AD was like, oh yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. It was good stuff though. I mean, I will say every time I watch this, I like Nick more and more. The guy's just like
say
just cute little
Vanessa
softie.
annoyed me less than normal too.
She wasn't as bad as she's been sometimes before.
Kind of led the charge. Nick didn't talk that much, in my opinion. He did occasionally, and he did well. I think this was their best reunion, their least annoying reunion. They asked good questions. They kind of came for the right people. I liked it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of you and me because she takes lead in those conversations a lot.
Sure. And she said she's like spicy.
And then he pokes fun at her about it, and then you can tell that when she gets home, she's gonna give a nice little yelling.
Yeah,
and that's
you don't really poke fun at me that much because you're too scared.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want the smoke. No,
if I'm not and any,
it's a pretty common husband and wife dynamic. Like women are pretty fiery usually, or women are being beat down and they're submissive.
Yeah, good men like strong women. So
amen, brother. Or what does Chelsea? That was a horrible high five. What does Chelsea always say? Like, she's like, my dude. Like that shit was driving me crazy. That man was your fiance. Okay, my dude. Ugh.
Yeah,
that gives me the ick.
She doesn't look like a stoner, but that phrase makes her sound like a stoner.
On Instagram, she's a lot more like free spirity. Like I actually get those vibes.
Okay.
Everyone's a stoner now. Not us, mom and dad, but no. But yeah, I mean, overall, again, it's nice to see that people can at least be mature and on good terms. They clearly were just on like a trip to Florida together or with friends, who knows? But we saw them out to lunch and stuff, and whatever will happen with them in the future, we wish them luck. Would not hate if he went on Perfect Match.
No.
Don't think he did, though. Because again, 99.9% sure it was filmed months ago.
So let's pivot to the only successful couple, because there's not a lot to talk about. And I want to finish with
and Amy.
The bigness.
Bum,
yeah, Johnny and Amy, I mean...
they're cuties. I'm here for it.
It just makes me happy to see them.
Yeah.
Because love is great. I mean, that's part of why Kate and I like talking about these shows, is because we love love.
We're saps, yeah.
Yeah. And you can just tell, I mean, she's a great person. He's a great person. They come from great families. They love spending time together. I could not have loved those pictures they took more with the sister and her fiance.
It was like the JCPenney's photo shoot like we did.
It made me so jealous to think, why don't I have those types of pictures with another couple?
I mean, if you would let us move near your family, that could be us, your sister, and whatever boyfriend she ends up with that
My
day.
sister's new boyfriend is like 70 feet tall, so...
Oh, you could never take a picture with him because you can't not be the tallest. Oh, and my God.
Jeremy's girlfriend probably wouldn't do that, so...
Yeah, she would. I'm sure.
Now, your sister,
would love a photo
your
shoot.
sister and her fiance.
Britain.
Perfect.
Money.
Money.
Look into that next time we're all together.
We have to convince her, though. But anyways,
she would do it.
It was great. I mean, there's a whole little collage of these trips they've taken. It was funny because one of the questions the audience asked was like,
outings together.
Have you guys had a fight? Have you had that blow up fight? And they look at each other and just like, no, we're just, we're good. We don't really fight about anything.
It's kind of reminded me of us as well. Not to like beep toot our own horns, but they're like, we haven't had like any really explosive fight. It's been really easy, weirdly. But of course we have like disagreements, and that's what we always say. Like, we're not like fuck you, hating each other, getting in massive fights where we're like going to sleep crying and angry, but we definitely like disagree and bicker. That's very normal, and I would say healthy.
They kind of remind me of there's a couple we're friends with. I won't call their names out.
Show me. Okay, I'm covering your mouth.
Oh, whatever.
Wait. Oh.
They kind of remind me of this really cute couple that I've known since college.
With. They have that cute little vibe. He reminds me of him. I don't know if she reminds me of her.
But they're just like, they don't fight. They don't yell at each other. They're just like...
that we know.
I mean,
they're too good and pure to be like that.
Yeah, but anywho, it was great. It was beautiful. They clearly finally found out how to use condoms or something like that.
Yeah. They said that she's never went on birth control. She's like, I want to make it clear he didn't force me to do anything I didn't want to do. I'm not even on it. He has not gotten the old snip snip. but they've figured out how to make it work. So it's given the old pull and tug, say a prayer method, or a good old condom. Which, come on, yeah. But ultimately, they're really sweet. They seem happy, genuine. It didn't seem fake or forced at all. I feel like we have a good radar for that, and like
They're
we
going to end
predict.
up together long
I
term.
hope so. Knock on wood. I really hope so.
I see a baby in their future in like 3 or 4 years.
For sure. I agree. And it was cute to see that their families are still really meshed and they're doing things with both families and stuff like that. Just love to see it. I think the season is a success if at least one real couple comes out of it. Because, I mean, how unlikely is it to find like a soulmate lasting match out of a bunch of randoms? That's cool.
True. I mean, you
I'll give
get
him props
40,
for one.
you put 40 people in a room and you manage to
Oh, it's
get
hard.
two of them to be married forever. It's a pretty
Yeah.
big win. Because if you look at the amount of successful marriages in the world around us versus the amount of people,
Yeah.
not the high percentage.
Not bad odds. Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah. I mean, let's move on up to our favorite couple of the
Oh
season.
man,
The couple that could have been.
this was easily the most emotional part of the episode.
100%.
I mean, it was
We're talking AD all day and Clay.
borderline heartbreaking at
Yeah.
times. I don't know where to start. I mean, it's an emotional
I mean-
roller coaster from the beginning to the end of their conversation.
Yeah. I mean, let's first just get out of the way. Pretty shocking bomb. AD discloses that she met Michael Matthew. We always call him the wrong name. I think it's Michael, and we keep calling him Matthew. Michael?
We'll forget.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
She met him and they went on multiple dates, 2 or 3 dates. So that's interesting. And you could tell Clay knew. They both said that he already knew and whatever, and he's respecting, her living her life. But he was a little uneasy in his seat.
He was not
He didn't
happy
like
about
that. He essentially discloses that, he's tried out several different maybe not several, excuse me. He's tried out different therapists. He's taking it really seriously. He looking back on the experience, especially seeing, just how he treated her and how much he hurt her, seeing the conversation after the altar between his parents, he realized like, wow, I have a lot of shit to work on, even more than he thought, because he was owning it during the season that there was a lot of demons and things he was worried about. But yeah, he tests out therapists. He said he found one that's doing pretty well for him, and he seems to be still on that path of growth. A lot of people I'm seeing on social media like think he's the villain, do not like him. And I can understand why, because AD is the queen of the season. She's, in my opinion, the best, most likable person we saw this season. So it's
Agreed.
anybody comes for her or hurts her, we're like, fuck them, they suck. But there could be two things true at the same time. Like, we cannot like what he did and want the best for her, and we can still not think he's a horrible guy. I gotta say it, I like Clay. I think
She's drinking out of a clay pot of the clay Kool-Aid.
all day.
I mean, I agree. I think it's really cool that you can tell Clay was emotional. I mean,
Yeah.
he was
I
near
think he was
crying
being really
at
raw
moments.
and real.
He's
Yeah.
being honest about how he's tried out multiple therapists. I mean, I think this is something that no one really understood throughout the season. And it's tough because when you look at him, you see, tall, handsome, successful, well-off, young man who's got everything going for him, right? But the reality is, and he said it, and I think he explained it pretty well, he's got a part of himself that he doesn't think is great. Like there's people out there that the whole world thinks is like, oh, they're so happy, they're so great, whatever have you.
Several,
Just because you look that way doesn't mean on the inside you don't look yourself in the mirror and go,
the boy's got demons.
yeah, I'm the
Demons
villain.
inside.
I could be the villain, right? And I think he looks at
Yeah.
his dad and he looks at himself and he's like, am I broken too? Like, am I going to
Yeah.
be broken too? And while I don't agree with what he did at all, and clearly he doesn't either because he admits that he
has
regrets
regrets. Yeah.
it. I think there was a part of him that said, I'm not good enough for this. I can't do this. I'm going to mess it up. I might as well just mess it up now,
Like 100%. And as much as what he did really hurt, blindsided, betrayed, you could say, AD, in somewhere in his mind, he was like, almost doing her a favor, he thought, because he's like, she is so incredible. She's so loving, so great. She's so ready for this. I'm doing her a disservice committing to this if I'm not 100% sure that I can do the same.
Yeah.
It's like he thought ultimately he was doing what was best for both of them. And some evil douchebag wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? I just like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who would ride this wave for clout and be okay to like crash and burn and get a divorce eventually. But he was like, she deserves better. I don't think it was as much about him as it was about like her and protecting her, honestly.
He didn't
And
think he was good enough for her
100%,
ultimately.
and let's be honest, in that moment, he probably wasn't. And that's okay. That's a real, to admit that takes a real one. And we've said it before in past episodes. You're not crazy to not feel ready to get married to someone you barely fucking know.
Well, the tough thing now is he wants to be with her still.
Yeah, he
loves
said he
her
regrets
still.
it. He said she's
She
the love
loves
of his
him
life.
still.
Oh, you can tell
But
she has
she's
so much
so
love.
damaged by it, and she's
She's got
strong as a
pride
woman.
too.
That's like it's
Yeah.
it's so difficult because you can see that it's right there. I mean, they are both still very much in love with each other, but there's just a sense
I
of
think she's
trust
scared to
that
get
she's
hurt again.
broken,
Yeah,
and you
of
can't
course.
fix that, right? Like
Yeah.
it's even if they get back together, there'll always be that moment in the back of her mind. There's always going to be that
Is he gonna
memory
just
of,
like blindside me and leave again? Yeah.
yeah, I was stood up at the altar. Like that's always going to exist,
It would be really hard to just, when you're dating someone, you fall in love with someone, you're having this committed in love relationship. Part of that relationship is letting go and just having blind faith that things are going to work out and this person's going to have your back and you can trust each other, and you should be able to just trust blindly and know that everything's going to be okay. You just kind of have to live in delusion, like,
It's
and
almost
trust
like
this experience.
it's kind
And
of
it's how
equivalent to
can she do
cheating.
that when it already had this big failure once? Yeah.
It's equivalent to cheating almost because it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that thing was so harmful and it was
You
such a
forgive it
breaking of
once.
trust. Like
Yeah.
you can try and forgive it, but you can't really forget it.
Yeah.
You know.
And a lot of times, the same cheating kind of scenario, it's a good example. If somebody cheats and gets away with it, they're pretty likely, not to say everyone's going to do something again. A lot of people can learn, I think, from their mistakes. But if you're forgiving something like that once, it's just like the person kind of knows they can get away with it and they're more likely to probably do it again. Not saying he's going to leave her at the altar again, but you know what I mean? Like, what's to say he's not going to just like promise her the world? They're going to move in together, be so in love and happy. And then one day he's going to have this, wait, I can't do this moment when she's ready to like buckle down and
Yeah.
commit and get really serious again. So yeah, I think in her heart, she has so much love for him and she wants to be with him maybe, but her pride and her brain and, her higher self is telling her that it's best she doesn't.
Yeah.
She's probably
Agreed.
taken a while. It's been a year. So it's probably taken her a long time to really get over it if she's fully over it. And it's like, why are you going to do that to yourself again? But part of me, the lover of love in me, wishes they could be together.
I mean, if it's
I'm
meant to be,
rooting for
it
Clay.
will be.
I don't know why.
So we'll see. Who knows what the future
Yeah,
holds?
It's true. It's true.
There was a cast party that night, and I'm sure they got drinking, and who knows what happened.
Was there?
I mean, there always is. Whenever you get those people
I mean,
together,
they're probably like going out.
they
Yeah,
always
sure.
go out together. And I guarantee Netflix rented out a space at some cool place for them, for them all to hang out.
Maybe. Or they just went out to like the bar.
Because
But yeah.
Netflix also does it because then they hope other juicy drama happens there, and then they can report on it, and then it brings
Oh,
more.
well, there's that like year later. Or is that for Love is Blind? There's like the year later thing. Maybe.
I don't
right?
think so, no. But regardless, any
What
like
am I thinking of?
substantiated rumors that could come from that night of only draws more attention back to Love is Blind. So
I mean, it was a bummer. It was cool to see him have that moment with Brett, one of the OGs in the crowd with Tiffany. Brett and Tiffany from Seattle, I believe. They are some of the goats of all the Love is Blind couples. Love them. They referenced the host, said something to him like, oh, so, throughout the show, we see that you finally actually took the time to watch past Love is Blind seasons and you kind of compared yourself to some of the men on past seasons, saying that, these guys seem so ready. They're saying all the right things. That just doesn't feel like where I'm at. And they were kind of like, which guy, were you thinking that about? And of course, he has to say, the OG Brett. And they had a really sweet moment where Brett was just like, "Oh, that's really humbling to hear," and it was a really good moment. That was an emotional scene
It's
as well.
it's tough because obviously we're white. We're very white.
Obviously, yes.
So we'll never know what either of those guys go through, right? Like when I think about my journey, as a man versus theirs, and
Oh yeah.
the expectations of society and the history of their culture, and there's just so much to unpack there. But
They
I think
both
it's tough
share that
because
they came from kind of not broken homes, but not the best examples of healthy relationships.
and
Yeah.
that plays a huge role. I mean, I know a ton of people, regardless of color, that their parents were not in a successful relationship, and they go, "Cool, I don't believe in love. I don't believe
They
in being
accept
married."
a lot less than what they should deserve compared to. I mean, we're both fortunate. Our parents are both still
Oh,
together, and
wildly. I mean,
yeah, it's rare.
we have so much. What's the word I'm looking for? Uh,
Examples, things to
no,
look at.
fortune, privilege.
Privilege. Yeah.
Wow, I mean, every privilege you can imagine, like we're
Yeah.
fortunate to have for the most part. So, I did. I thought it was really cool that they were willing to have that conversation as well, because I think these are probably thoughts that a lot of people have, but they're not conversations that often happen
Yeah.
on platforms of that magnitude. And so, just the fact that they were able to have that emotional conversation as vulnerable men on a stage for tens of millions of people to see.
Ooh.
Appreciate them doing that. I think it was really cool
Yeah.
because it's that conversation will likely help more people than they realize.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good moment. I mean, other than that, there wasn't a lot of huge, juicy things going on. Again, some OGs in the crowd, some pregnant OGs. One of my all-time favorites, Alexa and Brennan.
Ugh.
Ugh, love them. She's pretty pregnant. She was like, see that guy? It's like some shirtless, tatted up man, seemingly walking
Katie
towards our
loves
driveway.
a shirtless, tatted up man.
Ah, yeah, you. Who doesn't look at a guy who's walking past your house? He looked like he was walking in our driveway. But anyways,
I'll get him.
I'm just gonna say right now, hope he doesn't hear this. Neighbor wasn't very attractive.
Hmm.
Was giving a butterface. But anyways,
Ouch.
but yeah, Alexa and Brennan talked about how they're buying a house. She's like, yeah, we have to have somewhere to put the baby. They're pretty
They're such
funny.
a funny
They just
couple.
seem really solid. We also see Giannina from season 1, quite
Still-
the
still
controversial character.
Don't like her.
Well, she's with Blake from The Bachelor, who was runner up on Becca's season, who, man, I cried like a baby when he got dumped at his proposal / altar situation. They met on that random show we liked, Party Shore or whatever.
Yeah,
And
All-Star Shore.
All Star Shore. And they're still together. They're almost with child, and it was cute to see. And, Kwame Chelsea, like we said, Brett Tiffany, Colleen and Matt.
God, you have such a
Not
better
sure
memory
what's
than
going
me.
on with them. Yeah, I knew when I was saying these names, you'd be like, whoa, she's on it.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good episode. I think it was a good season. If I have to just,
Great season. Let's rate it out of 5.
the season itself.
Yeah, whole season.
Okay.
Let's say our number in 3, 2, 1.
I'm gonna go
4.
4-1.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Yeah, I think a 4. I was like, oh, a 4 is high. But it was a good season. We thoroughly enjoyed it. We were eager for all the episodes to drop, and the reunion was pretty decent. Like I said, I think Vanessa and Nick stepped it up. I think after every season, after every reunion, especially, everyone's like, get new fucking hosts. And I actually liked them.
Keep them.
They're growing with the show. And you can tell the
They
experiment
care.
means a lot to them. Yes.
They
thank
care.
you. Yeah.
Like that's the thing is this is.
They're not just like it's not some, I mean, in the beginning, they were like, wow, we struck gold. They're probably getting paid so much. This is
It's
the best thing to
not
ever
just
happen
a
to them.
paycheck
But
for them anymore.
they like it. They're investing. Yeah.
Heck, they offered up their Hawaii house to
it wasn't
whoever.
real. But
Maybe
yeah.
who knows. By the way,
Also, they live in Hawaii.
good
They
show.
have a home in Hawaii.
good season.
Nice.
What are we gonna talk about next?
Next
Who knows?
season's
You'll find out.
probably coming in the fall, I think. So I cannot wait. We are watching The Bachelor. We haven't touched on it much. I was thinking maybe next episode we dive into end of the season thoughts with that. It's wrapping up very soon here, and
Yeah, we'll see.
if there's anything
You're
else
gonna
you
have
guys
to just
wanna
wait
hear,
to find out. So tune in because Who knows what kind of goodness is coming up on the mics?
You just never know. Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, share with your friends, give us those YouTube views, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And for the love of the Connor clan, my ancestors, this weekend, have yourself a nice little whiskey and a Reuben sandwich.
Get
all right?
yourself a Guinness. Aye.
Take care, everybody.